moving along here, but I was asked to remind everyone we have T-shirts in the back. They are free, so if you paid for them, thank you for your donation. Just kidding. You can get your money back if you paid for those T-shirts. I'll keep moving along here. Our next speaker is from the University of Kansas Research, overview of joint industry project details. He is a PhD in chemical and petroleum engineering from the University of Kansas, and he's the director of the tertiary oil recovery program.
Oh, I know that.
And so I would like to introduce the next speaker, Shaheen Negahbar.
I hope you won't be terribly disappointed, but I'm not Shaheen Negahbar. I'm Mark Ballard. I'm the field liaison for TORP. And Shaheen was called away. He wasn't able to make it. We wanted to be here and make a presentation. And my job cuts across all of the research lines, and so I was the obvious person to make this happen. Thank you. I'll still give you Shaheen's material, and then I want to talk to you about research we're going to do, and then I'll wind up the research that we are in the middle of or have done. And I'll need to hurry because we're a little behind. I'm going to get into my lunch. So I hope I don't make you dizzy as I go through these slides real quick. Shaheen's a new director at KU. He's got some broad vision for how we're going to raise the university up a notch, make it a little classier. It blows me away the number of times I hear people say, I didn't know KU did that. Like, for example, that we even have a petroleum engineering program. And I don't feel like we're competitive with Texas or with Oklahoma, that we can all be complementary. In fact, we don't want to do the same research that they're doing, so that we don't really step on each other's toes. Let's see if I can make something over here. Yeah. We'd like to create a system that is both excellent in education and excellent in R&D, and I get to do some of the R&D, and then excellent in our technology deployment, and that really is my part of it. I'm the field guy. I take their research and get it out into the field. I'm going to show you some specific examples as we get going. The idea is that we can bring multiple disciplines together, geology and the KGS, which is, I think, well respected around the country, and our own group to do multidisciplinary research. A little bit different than what we have seen. I'll blaze through some of these real quick. We're not going to focus on all of them. From my point of view, the applied R&D is really what's important. We don't want to spend a lot of time doing fundamental work. We think that applied R&D is what's really important to the industry at this moment. And you'll see a couple of those that really come together. This notion of multidisciplinary and the notion of collaborating. The final item, final two items, the notion of rapid piloting and the notion of inexpensive full field deployment are things that I really want to focus on. 5 areas. I'll take you through this just real quick. EOR, my favorite. It's the reason I want to get up in the morning. Excites me, makes me want to go to work. We're going to work on gas hydrates. And now that that's very exciting to you folks, but I'm letting you know that it's out there. I think it's a big deal to the rest of the country. Lots and lots of gas tied up in hydrates. We've seen 8 different models from 8 different universities, and none of them represent the performance of the hydrates properly. We're going to try to fix that, or at least contribute to the field. Let me see. Unconventionals with geomechanics. We're also going to look at EOR in that respect. And so, odd idea, EOR and an unconventional, but okay, let's see what comes out of it. The 4th item there, this notion of managing sulfur, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. The idea there is reforming products, say reforming CO2, reforming H2S, chemically into other species that are more usable and less environmentally disruptive. At the center of all that is integrating this with modeling. And numbers of problems in the modeling, and we've got a new guy from Oxy who's going to deal with some of that. Let me take you real quick through some research that we intend to do. Some of this has been done in other places, and we want to contribute to the field. Low Sal, Norm Morrow, monster in this field. There's some neat stuff happening though in Low Sal. Low salinity is the idea there, and that by simply managing the ions in the water, that we can get more oil. a strange kind of idea, and it was to me initially, but go with me for just a second. If we 50-50 wag our CO2, we basically put 50% CO2 in, 50% water in. The CO2 has solubility in water somewhere between 4% and 6%. And if we just inject that, which you might think of as soda pop without the sugar, we can get a significant quantity of oil. Here we've done carbonated water after, or I showed results of, I didn't do this, the CO2, the carbonated water after water flood. And here I'll show some results where the carbonated water is done right after primary. And from my point of view, this matters. This is really significant. Where we can increase the NPV, the oil comes faster. And this I'm going to personally work on. This excites me. Reason to get out of bed, reason to come in the morning. I'm not here to sell anything, but let me just say there'll be a couple of JIPs. If somebody's interested, contact me after, get with Shaheen, whatever. One will be around EOR, one will be around water management. And the idea there is that with the water management, if it comes to the surface, the producer had to produce it anyway, okay, fine. If we can save them the money of re-injecting it, excellent. And good for the farmer, good for the other end user, whoever that happens to be. Maybe it's to be drank, maybe to be consumed by humans, maybe consumed by livestock, but more maybe along the lines of agriculture or industry. And so if we can not inject that water, we save cost of injection. We also potentially saved fracture type issues, downhole problems. And so that's important. Quick, just a couple of ideas, and I swear I'm going to get off of this topic. University gives us no overhead on those types of contributions. That means it all goes to students and materials. None of our salaries are paid with that stuff. Let's say no overhead. It's all for students and materials. We're going to use not theoretical, but real data in the field. So people who are interested will use your rock, your fluids, and then Torp will be around to do the pilot design and implementation, that sort of thing. The other thing I would mention is it's taxing. Okay. Enough of that silliness. The last item regarding the pay year, what we intend to do, Shaheen wants to set up a school, if you will, for adult education. The idea is that as young engineers go into the field, they're often sent away to something like Schlumberger's next program or whatever, the internal company deal, to learn how it's done, what they didn't get in school. So we want to be a bit more practical, share what we know, and concentrate on roughly these 10 areas. Now, they don't cover the gamut. There's not much on drilling, for example, up there, but and I don't expect you to consume this right now. We are partnering with Schlumberger on some of this, but we'll do it at the university, and we'll do it in a practical way where we take kids out into the field. People that don't have to be kids, it can be anybody. Happy to have you all. That's really what I'm trying to do there. Let me run real quick then through research that we have really done. We're studying unconventionals and foam in a couple of different angles. Foam from the point of view of let me back up real quick, I apologize. It's no big deal to you guys that KU did a pilot in Kansas 15 years ago for CO2. It's kind of a big deal to me that Chaparral's doing the North Bourbon. Very excited and proud of them for making that happen. Besides that, though, we've done some work in near miscible, which I think is an interesting place. That curve looks like an S, and so it's not just a line. Are the interesting things that we learned by doing research. We're also then working on foam for mobility control and CO2 potentially for EOR in unconventionals. And that's something that gets me kind of interested personally. Foam for EOR, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time working through these details. If people are interested, material that we published in this respect to give you then a feel for what's going on. I'd rather not take a lot of your time right now. With that, I think I'll put you to sleep before your lunch anyway. But some of it is interesting results and lets us determine rock characteristics from real-world data, a little like a tracer study, which to me is very exciting. We have a researcher who's doing characterization of fluids. For those who simulate, this is a big deal. For the rest of us, I don't care a whole lot. It's a big deal in simulation. Often glossed over as you need a few components and we're good to go. It makes a big difference in inaccuracies in certain with certain oils. Can't get away. I don't want to kill this. My point here in doing this and dragging you through this is there's a lot going on here. And Laura Lee's digging into that for her own benefit. That's what makes her want to come to work in the morning. It's somewhat complicated, and you can see why people would gloss over it. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. The same researcher is also looking at corrosion control using ultrasonics. This was curious to me. She says to me, you can't keep the scale from happening, but you can determine where it goes. And the interesting thing here, if we look down at these two basically petri dishes, on the A side, which is the one that scaled up the iron bar, the coupon, the water's pretty clean, but the bar looks like crap. On the B side, the bar's clean, and the scale's in the water. Now, as particles in the water. Now, to me, that's kind of interesting because then I can filter it somewhere. If we can keep it moving, then I can filter it at the surface, get it out of the system, and I'm back in business again instead of it corroding my downholes or messing up my surface equipment. Let's talk about produced water just real fast. And we only looked at Kansas, and we're just really in the early stages of this right now. Estimates are first in acre feet and the other in barrel per day. They tell her barrel per year. It tells you the same thing, just in different units. And you can see agriculture or irrigation really takes up the vast majority of that. Our estimate then is that only of those 57 billion barrels, only about 1.2 to offset that is produced by oil-filled waters. And in Oklahoma, that might be a great deal larger, and we're happy to take a look at that. It's a small deal, except when you need the water. And then it's a big deal. If we can figure out how to treat some of that in the right place, in places where it matters, then that's kind of the key. That's kind of where we're headed with that. No reason to dig through all these numbers. The point is just the waters vary all across the map. Additionally, what your target use is also matters. If we're going to use it for irrigation, we might be able to get away with higher total dissolved solid content than if we're going to use it for drinking water. Similarly, for industry, we might be able to get away with a whole lot more dissolved solid content. And then clear across the state, we have varieties. And I apologize to you, I don't have to admit this, but I think this slide's kind of boring. Had I had more time, I would have put bar graphs along there, made it a little more exciting and easier to deal with. But they threw me this stuff last night and said, here you go. And so at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock last night, I'm putting this together. And so, oh well. appreciate it if you were kind enough not to judge me on, did you really make money? Well, I admit, we probably didn't make money. And in a couple of cases, we operated this thing in a way where it's a science project. In other words, we were going to make our own brine instead of using produced brine. Now, you'd never do that in the field, I understand that. But we did it on purpose because if you get done and things didn't work right, people are all the time asking you, well, did you try this? Well, how come you didn't look at that? So we're trying to control for many, many of our variables. Let me drag you through this real quick and then we'll send you all to lunch. Ripsy gave us some money to do this. Additionally, Huntsman Chemical and SNF brought us product. And so they're really our partners in this. We didn't have to pay for it. They brought us the chemical and they've been very helpful in the process. I can only say the nicest things about them. I won't drag you through the capillary number stuff. This presentation was actually put together for some other folks. The correlation here is Chun-Ha, UT, and we didn't measure directly our interfacial tensions. Instead, let me go back to that just real quick. Instead, we used our solutization ratios as a proxy for interfacial tension. This is what we're up to. We take our chemical solutions. We're trying to build this middle microphase, microemulsion, middle phase microemulsion. And the piece in the middle, that little guy right there where the equal amounts of water and oil have been taken into the middle phase is our optimal salinity. And that's where we need to run our flood. Now, we don't have to match the reservoir, but as we do more projects, we may try to work harder to match the reservoir. What we did in this case was ran a pad out front that was optimal salinity and had a sacrificial agent in it. And I'll talk more in just a moment about that sacrificial agent. I think it was a big deal. Our chemical solution, a bit complicated, 2 separate surfactants and an alcohol. We've got a polymer for mobility control, that's why I say, and then a sacrificial agent, and I'll talk about that, and then controlled brine. And the controlled brine is really important. This process is really sensitive to the salinity, and so we have to control for salinity. This is a standard core flood response. We hope that our response in the field looks this way. Oddly enough, I'm going to show you a slide here in a minute that makes it look as if our flow in the field is almost linear. That is, it's not necessarily radial. I've got some tracer tests that show me that. Here's a quick introduction to what we were doing with regard to the sacrificial agent. We had rather low absorption on our rock. We tested it on purpose, in part because we think some of the past floods have been a failure because of retention, and we really needed to know what was going on. At 0.18 milligrams per gram of rock, just believe me, that's a relatively low number. When we use our sacrificial agent, though, we're able to knock that down to 0.12. Now, in and of itself, those numbers are just sort of meaningless, but take them relative to each other, about a 1/3 difference, which means my surfactant is going to go that much further by not being absorbed on the rock. My surfactant costs about $500,000. My sacrificial agent cost me about 10 grand. And so that's money in the bank. I mean, that's more oil in the tank, more oil mobilized. I think it's going to be a big deal now. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to show you, I'm going to have to come back another time and show you the data. This is a map from a previous project where we did, we made up formulas for all 10 of these oils. That Tremblay right there in the middle Hutchinson is just off of our map, maybe 10 miles over to the east over here. What I have is the other fields laying around. The one highlighted there in yellow is our Tremblay. Let me come in just a little closer because I have to match up some of these geology maps, the stuff that other people gave me. And you can see it's just fields and fields. Here we have tops, the top of our zone, which is really the bottom of the Lansing, Kansas City, the Hertha or the L zone. And then I overlay an old ice pack. Now the joy for us is the center of that ice pack, that center circle is really where our flood is. This field is so small, 6 producers, all contained. You can see we're surrounded by dry holes. And so we didn't want to have some fluid moving off pattern or whatever. We chose this field on purpose for a couple of reasons. This is one. The other one is you got to see this water flood performance. But here in just a second, I'll show you that, okay? So a little bit closer. Come on. Now you can start to see the leash roads and the wells come into focus here. There's my injector. There's my producer. And then there's a tank battery where we do have our plant and equipment. There's that same ice pack blown up now to lay across the area. And you can see we think we're in the heart of this field. We think we're doing the right thing in terms of getting as much as we can. We ran tracers, a different tracer in each of the 3 injectors. And we're a little surprised to find that we're getting this kind of directional, linear kind of flow. We do not see flow along the dotted lines. I would have expected that. Haven't seen it yet. We're over 2 years, 2.5 years into this tracer flow. Now, one thing, I don't know if I can make a pointer work here. There we go. There's another injector right here, number 5. Its tracer has just shown up over here at this producer. Skip this guy. Don't understand why. I'm just telling you. It's funny how carbonates are. Just appear to be random. I don't know. But okay, we did the tracer work, and we feel like we know what the flow pattern is in the reservoir. And the good news for us, we're injecting down here in this guy and producing up here in this guy. And of course, we're producing in the other places too. But this is where we expected the heart of the reservoir to be. It appears to be going in our favor. There we go. Let me take you just a little closer and we'll look at the physical plant. The tank battery's kind of boring from above, kind of looks old and rusted. We put a plant 10 foot by 20 foot. Imagine a shipping container, a small shipping container. On site, we connect up to a freshwater well, 50 foot. Now, we realized we would not do this in real life. I'm not suggesting you do this in the field. We just had access to this thing, and the state gave us permission to use what water we needed to make this happen. We needed to control our brine salinity, and that's the key here. We put in a little freshwater storage, some brine storage, and then a couple of tanks for surfactant delivery, and we're golden. The plant cost us $200 grand. The tanks are next to nothing. I don't know what they cost, $7 grand a piece. We're not in much money making this happen. We put in a high pressure line to connect to existing line in the field, and off we go to the injection well. This is a schematic of our plant. I want to convince you, even though it looks like a lot of lines on the page, this thing is exceedingly simple. To make that point, a 62-year-old woman who's about 5 foot tall runs this plant. 1 hour a day, 6 sacks, 6 55-pound sacks of polymer. That's what we do. Collect the data, 6 sacks of polymer. She goes on about her business. The area highlighted is where we wet the polymer. Exceedingly simple. We blow water through a line, create a vacuum, sucks in polymer that's been metered out with a screw. It mixes up in the middle tank here, and then we pump it off to the feed tank. It's all done automatically, computer controlled. The whole process takes fresh water from a tank with a centrifugal pump and creates about 40 pounds of pressure, 40 psi's in our dilution line. And then we meter in our concentrated chemicals. Concentrated brine, which instead of using a briner it's just lines to most people, okay? The primary production is what the primary production is, right? The secondary, though, almost met the primary. And I got a lot of argument from people, pundits, whatever, other researchers, and people in the field who said, why on earth did you choose this field? You've already watered it out with your water flood. I'll tell you, I beg to differ. There's still plenty of oil left in this field. There's 80,000 barrels, I calculate, in my pattern, and I think I'm going to get 40,000 of them. But the point here is, surfactant flooding is not a solution for a crappy field. It's not a way to revive something that was junky and did not respond well to water flood. It's really for a field that responded well to water flood. We need that flow, exceedingly important. Some quick and dirty calculations that I'll try not to kill you here. We did the tracers, and I think they were really, really important for us to estimate what's going on in this reservoir. We know how much we injected before breakthrough. Assuming we're going to mobilize some oil, we know about how much we're going to have to inject to see our oil bank come at us. And that's about 66,000 barrels injected, about 55,000 produced. We'll have that done fairly quickly. It's not even going to take me a year, which I had originally predicted. It's going to take me about 9 months. And then over here, the surfactant absorption. This is another, not fair to say graphic, but here you have it in numbers. How far we could go with our surfactant. If we thought we could have processed 150,000 barrels without the sacrificial agent, with the sacrificial agent, it looks like we can get nearly 250,000 barrels of poor volume process with our surfactant. I think that's a big deal. Remember, I told you my surfactant cost me about 500 grand, and my sacrificial agent cost me about 10 grand. So very important. And Stan McCool was instrumental in figuring this out. About done. Just got some pretty pictures for you at this point. There's our unit, 10 foot by 20 foot, looks like a shipping container, built by some guys in Wyoming. We set it on plate, on site with a crane, set a couple of tanks, and then I also have the surfactant over here. It's just that this picture was taken too early. The inside of the plant, again, I won't kill you with it, but dilution line, it pumps up around the room, and then in with these little, there's a peristaltic here, then bring in brine and surfactant. Polymer, we use a couple of, I call them wobble bars. What do you guys call them? Progressive cavity pumps. Moino. We pump our polymer with progressive cavity pumps so that we get low shear. And then this little guy, doggone it, right there, this is a hydrocell pump. That thing is our main injection pump. That little dude will move 500 barrel a day at 2,500 PSIs. Blows me away, a little tiny pump like that works like that. 15 horse motor connects to it, nothing leaks. So unlike a triflex pounding away and leaking salt water out the bottom, this little jewel right here has been a good find. I was happy about that one. There we are from the air. Some nice guys did us the favor of flying over and taking our picture. And all I can do is tell you to stay tuned, because I should see my oil bank in April, and I hope to be able to come back and tell you more about that then. That's all I've got for you. Any questions, folks? Yes, sir.
Do you have this presentation available online?
It's not so much online, but I'm happy to share it with you. If it is, swap cards with me, I'll send you something. Yeah, sure. And you can also talk to Stan and I. We're open, available, whatever. Happy. Yes, sir.
Your reservoir salinity,
I'm
the
sorry.
reservoir salinity prior to doing anything with product handling, PDS?
That's an interesting question. Let me take just a minute to answer you. We think, well, it's odd. This is really weird. Okay, this reservoir produced 0 water during primary, as in none. So we don't have any idea. We didn't really have anything to work with. They flooded it with fresh water. And so you could say that their secondary was so good because...
This is a freshwater reservoir.
No, sir.
Well, no, I get
They flooded it with fresh water, and so you could say their secondary was good because it was low sap.